Hey, welcome back. Today let's talk about the ghost of Woodson Lateral. Woodson Lateral is a road outside Little Rock between Hensley and Redfield. And there are actually two ghostly phenomenons that's said to take place here. The first is a ghost light. This is said to be the ghostly headlights of a motorcyclist who crashed coming around the curve. And now this mysterious light appears that is roughly the size of a motorcycle headlight. And people see it along the roads, and it's even known to chase cars. But the most well-known of the Woodson Lateral ghosts is the ghostly hitchhiker. The story of this phantom hitchhiker has been around since the 1950s. And the stories almost all start the same. On damp, rainy nights in the spring, this young woman is often said to be wearing a white dress or a light colored dress, and she often seems in distress. Sometimes she appears soaking wet, sometimes her clothes are torn or bloodied, and sometimes she has blood all over her. And like I said, this is most often reported in the spring, but she can be spotted at any time of the year, but specifically June seems to be when she's the most active. And it's said that sometimes when someone pulls over, she immediately fades away. Other times, she will ask the driver for a ride home, usually to Redfield, and usually claims to have been in a car accident. But as soon as she and her good Samaritan driver crosses the city limits, she disappears, leaving the driver completely baffled. There is a pretty cool story about her in this little book, The Ghost of Little Rock. Can you see it in the light? It's by Alan Lowe and Jason Hall, and I really enjoyed this little book. And it says that in 2001, a truck driver headed for Pine Bluff had pulled over because he thought he'd seen a girl that was injured standing on the side of the road. He was completely unfamiliar with the legend. And so he didn't know exactly what he was looking at. But he asked the girl, like, hey, do you want me to call the police? It looks like you've been assaulted or in some kind of accident. And she told him, no, don't call the police. Just please take her home. And unlike most of the other stories, they actually made it all the way to an address she provided him, which was a seemingly abandoned house on a side street in Redfield. When they pulled up, the girl acted like she was afraid of the darkness of the house. So she didn't want to get out of the car. So the man hopped out to go knock on the door. When he walked up the porch, that's when he realized that this house was abandoned and completely falling apart. So he turned around to look back at the girl, and she was no longer in his truck. She had just vanished. Some people believe that both of these phenomenons, the ghost light and the hitchhiker, could actually be coming from the cemetery on the corner. Because if we look at the map here, see there's Woodson Lateral, and then you've got the cemetery, which makes sense. But there's actually an event that did take place here in June of 1950 when a young couple was driving along the road and they lost control in the rain, skidded off-road. The young man driving was killed on impact, but the girl lived long enough to try to, crawl up to the side of the road to try to flag down help. Unfortunately, she didn't get it, and she passed away right there on the side of the road. But ever since that June in 1950, this girl keeps showing up, trying to flag down help and still just trying to make her way home. So have any of y'all ever seen the ghost light or the phantom hitchhiker on Woodson Lateral? Let me know in the comments. Oh, and like and subscribe, because that's what we do on YouTube. Yeah.